Hello everybody and welcome back to Animal Crossing City Folk. We're actually playing early in the morning. From Mom. Let's see here. A confession night. Ate dessert for dinner tonight. My mother would probably never do that. She's not really a big fan of sweets though. I wonder where I get that from. Let's toss that out so we can get our letter from the HRA. And there we go. Basically, I already know what it says. We scored about 3,500 points, but our room is still the model room. Somehow. I'm also really gassy today. Hey, Joan. It's been a while. There's more gas. I was trying to get it all out before I started. I apologize for that. I probably cut out my own audio there, if I remember. Start with the red turnip. I will take it. I don't even know why I'm kind of gassy today. I mean, well, I suppose I kind of know why. Like, the most recent thing I've ate is some pumpkin pie, which might be causing it, given I downed it with, chased it down with some soda. So that might be creating the gas, but I kind of doubt it, honestly. I don't know. Let's see, how much are white turnips going for? 97. I'll buy 200 right now. Because that is a fair chunk of our money that we're carrying with us. And I'm gonna go put those in our house, and then I think I'm gonna aim to buy 800 more. So for that, well, I might as well just get out like 80,000. That should be enough. Because where they're not quite 100, it'll be a little more than what we need. Just kind of toss these down. Yeah, I'm honestly a little surprised we found Joan right away like that. I mean, I know it is possible to find her right away, so, you know. I kind of expected it would happen eventually. I just didn't think it would happen, you know, exactly today kind of thing. I figured it would happen much later in the series, given how small of a chance it is. But hey, we'll get to see who won the fishing tourney. VP was Amelia. Oh. And it was a sea bass fishing tournament, I believe. We still do have that fish in our basement, the hammerhead shark. Because at this point, now that fishing tourneys have started again, there will no longer be sharks in the water. Sharks are the biggest fish. Actually, I think the ocean sunfish is the biggest. But they're pretty darn big. As in, you'll beat... If you hang on to, like, a shark for every, fishing tourney, you will probably win all of them. Not that winning them particularly matters. I mean, they can be a nice little way of getting some stuff, but they're not imperative that you win kind of thing. Right, I was gonna get money out and then grab more turnips. I should do that. So, let's get some money. And I'm honestly trying to think about what to talk about. Because I honestly don't really know. Yeah, my throat's kind of stuffed. Just under 100,000. Yeah, let's see if there's anything in the recycling bin while we're here. There are 4 things. Retro fridge, mountain bike, classic chair, and a mop. Okay. If this was real life, I would just grab the mountain bike, assuming it worked. And it was the right size for me. I really need a new bicycle. I love riding around. It's just, the town I'm in has a lot of, like, steep hills that stop at intersections. So, like, I can't really ride over, like, at least half the town. Because there's just too many hills. Though, one area where you can't take bikes, I'll never understand why you're not allowed to. And that is most of the interior of Victoria Park. It's a park in this area. You're not allowed to take your bikes in through most of the trails. And I could kind of see it along a few of them because they're really narrow and there just wouldn't be room for someone on a bike to come through, given people are also going to be walking through. But at the same time, like, one of the paths, all it really does is lead to a staircase by a waterfall. And, like, it basically leads directly to the waterfall. But it's a nice, wide path that there'd be more than enough room for really anyone to go across. I mean, the path was made for, you know, with the idea that people are going to be taking, like, motorized scooters into that area. Like, that's how the path was built, but you're not allowed to bike in there. You have to leave your bike chained to a bike lock, like a bike port, with no cameras around, no real semblance of any security. Literally, the only protection for your bike is the hope that people aren't gonna mess with it with other people around. But that part of the park isn't even, like, where the bike rack isn't even that popular of an area because it's right next to a place called Jacob's Steps, which is just a really long set of steps. And people like to go up that because, you know, it's a point of, hey, I did it. Even though it's not all that hard to climb them, and quite honestly, it's just like, I think it's something like 100 or so steps. And they have rest stops along the way up. It's like, oh no, I've literally scaled the side of this cliff face these stairs go up. Like, I just climbed it. I got quite the amount of looks for that one. Because it's quite high, and I was doing it no equipment, because I don't have any climbing equipment. But I was also doing it mid-summer in a trench coat. I got some pretty strange looks. Including some from some Chinese tourists who I couldn't really understand, but I got the gist of what they were saying of, that person is crazy, they're going to die. And then I climbed up to the top and just kind of sat there staring down at people. Because I could. I was bored and I had nothing to do. I was just spending some time outside. I would not advise people to do that. Ever. Honestly, I push my luck a lot. I've honestly throughout my life never been seriously injured, even though I have done a ton of dumb stuff. I should have gotten hurt by something I've done by now. Where could the money rock be? Wait, it's by Nooks. It's like the one rock I skipped over. Because I stopped to water the flowers. But like, probably the dumbest thing I've ever done, and I know I've told this story before, was back in Digby. There's a walking trail that used to be a set of train tracks. The train tracks have been removed, but the path they were on is still there, and it's graveled, and, you know, people ride ATVs along it and such. And people will walk along, and it's just a nice little trail, takes you to a couple beaches. It's pretty nice. Well, you can access it from a road called, like, Mount Pleasant Road, something like that. I don't remember the road names. I never really knew road names. I just knew where roads were. Like, I knew the road to get onto the tracks. It was by the graveyard. Because you could also use the graveyard to get onto the tracks. Only if you went that way, you had to go through a little sand dune, which made it not exactly useful for a cyclist, because you'd have to get off and walk, because bike plus sand equals no-go. But at the end of the road was the access to these tracks. It was a dead-end road. Well, the access was a turn, like a 90-degree turn. If you kept going straight, you'd end up at an old folks' home. Well, me on my pedal bike, which at the time had no brakes, it still has no brakes, I'm going down that road. It was a hill as well, like entirely down, was just a decently steep hill. I was going out of my way to get as fast as possible while carrying a drink, while riding one-handed, and going faster than the traffic. I took a 90-degree turn on a pedal bike onto gravel and didn't even sway on the bike. Like, that's how much I should be. I probably shouldn't be still alive. I've done too many dumb things. Greetings. Do you ever find yourself spouting the same catchphrase over and over? So I party the other night and someone was videotaping it. We watched the tape on later on. No idea how often I say rah rah. Yeah, I mean, that was Pom Pom's phrase, so, yeah, let's change it. A catchphrase for a grouchy bear. I'm gonna need to cut here while I look up the correct spelling for what I want to give him. And there we go. Harumph. Is defined as an expression of dissatisfaction, disdain, or unhappiness, so I think it fits. Harumph. Is that right? That's it. Harumph. Harumph. Yeah, that might work, harumph. Well, guess I'll be using this new catchphrase from now on. Harumph. I'm not very happy about it. Yeah, let's talk with Coco. I love mornings. The whole day is full of possibilities. I hope you have some fun plans. I do, Coco. Looks like the next big event won't be happening for a little while. And that means things are gonna stay quiet around here, huh? Big events are nice and all, but I think lazy days like this are nice too, Gotta Go Fest. Well, I mean, the next big event happens on the 31st, which is less than 20 days away. That being Halloween. Yeah, let's talk with Nana. Oh, Zoom! What say you and I try to make the most of our day, Popo? What do you think of this top I'm wearing? Nice, It was designed by, yeah, it was people in Tree Hut. Yeah. Talking about your bad clothes. Yeah, I before I got talking about the animals, I was talking about the dumb things I've done. I do not encourage anyone to do any of the dumb things I've said I've done. As I've mentioned, I really shouldn't have gotten through all of it unscathed. Like, the instance I literally just told about. Realistically, I should have caught some gravel the wrong way and fell. And possibly ended up getting seriously injured. Because that's just how that sort of stuff works. You don't do a fast turn onto gravel, ever. Gravel is not stable. By nature, it is not stable. That's why off-road vehicles have very special tires that help them dig into the ground below the gravel. Because they need to. And yeah, I'm just checking around to see if there's any more fossils. Not gonna buy flowers today. I might actually buy the candy. I don't know. We have a lot of candy. I don't think we even need the amount we have. Yeah, I think I'll buy the candy. But I do need to, get this fossil we dug up checked out first. Yes, let me welcome you. No, may I assist you? Yes, yes, you may. Like, yeah. Another thing I did a lot was, basically climbing along, wave breakers in Digby. There's a bunch of wave breaker rocks. I would just climb along them. And they were jagged rocks, like, they were not smooth. Whoops, no, I don't have anything else. I didn't mean to get your hopes up, Lathers. And I did one day fall, and I got, like, a few tiny cuts on one of my hands. And that was it. Which, you know, I mean, I was skipping school at the time as well. Because that's just kind of the kid I was. There wasn't a test going on that day, so I didn't really care about being at school. Because, as I know I've explained many times before, but the way I tend to look at school is it's meant to teach you things. Well, if I already know the information, then why should I be there? And no one's been able to give me a good answer. And to get an education that's not a good answer. Because I've just explained, if I already know the information, what reason do I have to be there? Now, that's not a good mentality to have. I am literally unemployable at the moment. Like, I cannot get a job because I do not have my grade 12, because I am a high school dropout. Now, I didn't drop out because I have that mentality, but it did hurt my marks so much that I basically couldn't have recovered if, you know, a lot of years. And I did fail a year because of it. Now, I did have a few teachers that did realize that, okay, he already knows the material, so it's kind of wrong to punish him, but we have to. I'm gonna water the ocean. I actually wonder, can you scare a fish away like that? You can. That doesn't make any sense. But okay. Wait, this is another fossil right here, isn't it? So, like, these teachers would give me, like, 60s. So I was a little above passing in their class. But, like, they couldn't do any more than that without risking their jobs. And I'll just get this fossil identified tomorrow. And that, to me, is honestly one of the saddest parts about school. Was knowing I had teachers that, quite honestly, supported me. Yeah, we got 31. This is sterile, apparently. I mean, we lost some points, but we took a gyroid out to put the boat in. So that makes sense. Because Lyle likes gyroids. I guess this is sterile, then. But, like, these teachers supported me and knew I was smart. And they knew that was basically why I wasn't ever there. But they couldn't do anything about it because they would have lost their jobs for helping a student that has no motivation to be there because the work was so simple for me. Like, that's honestly, to me, really sad about the education system. Is because, like, it doesn't matter how much potential a teacher sees in you, they can't help you. Because they're not allowed to. The curriculums never allow it. Like, as I think I mentioned before, like, multiple times throughout my schooling, they were going to push me ahead a grade and give me all of the credits for whatever grade I was in at the time. But I needed a certain amount of attendance, but they couldn't tell me that that's what they were going to do. Because if they would have, they could have lost their jobs. Which, that right there is counterproductive to what that sort of a system is supposed to do. If they are allowed to push a student forward for being smart, and they know that student isn't showing up because the work is too simple and they're just not engaged and don't care to show up, they shouldn't be limited by attendance. Honestly, the system to get graded ahead should be a test. If you can pass, say, basically an early in the year exam, and I'm gonna look over my stuff while I'm talking about this. Like if you can pass the exam, say halfway through the year, like this semester, there should be no reason why you should have to continue doing that class. You have passed the exam. The exam is to test your knowledge of what you learned in the class. So if you can pass it, say a month or so into being there, why should they have to keep you there? Why should you have to stay there? You've proven you know the information. And that would have allowed a student like me to have blazed through school. And it would have also allowed, in a lot of cases, classroom sizes to be smaller because a lot of students would have blazed through schooling. Like, a good example I could give is, think of it like Azumarill Daioh. I probably pronounced that wrong. But it's an anime. One of a bunch of schoolgirls. And one of the students is a child genius in high school. Like, if I remember right, she's like 8 in the last years of high school. Like, that's the kind of thing I mean. Like, yeah, that can be a little discouraging to other students. Because they're like, well, that kid is incredibly smart. But, you know, and that's kind of an extreme. Yeah, we have a ton of candies in here. I think we have enough candies. Like, that sort of a system would be great, but they're never going to implement that because, well, let's face it, that sort of a system takes resources from the school in a way. Because it requires the school to actually care about the students, and then to spend time coming up with standardized exams for every subject, and they'd need at least 8 different exams to cycle through, or the information would just leak online, in which case students could just study up for that, and then they're not going to know anything, but they'll know the answers to the exam. Like, it would take a lot of the school board's money, and that's where the problem comes. Money. It would cost the school board money, so they're never going to do it. School boards don't care about the students. They care about bringing in money. And they can't do that if they're spending money. So, I say this as someone who come from a school where many programs got shut down because the school board didn't find them profitable, so they couldn't be kept open. Like, an example I could give, and it's something, the librarians for the high school and elementary school in the town I was in, there was 2 of them. But then the school board realized, we can just have the librarian walk back and forth. The schools are close enough together, so let's fire one. So they did. So now we have 1 librarian. Now with 1 librarian, that either meant that certain days, the high school's library would have to be closed, because there would be an event going on at the elementary school's library, like a book fair, or they would cancel the book fairs. What they generally resolved to do was they cut the 4 book fairs a year at the elementary school down to 1. And they still have the high school's library closed those other 3 times a year. For no reason. Other than it saves them a little money because they're not paying the librarian. Like, that's how school boards work. they realized that they can save money. So they did. And it cost the students. But I'm gonna stop here before I ramble too much. Schooling. I am very passionate about it. I want to be a teacher. If people watching don't realize that. With that, I'd like to remind everyone I do have a Patreon. Should you wish to donate to it, there should be a link down below. And with that said, I thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time for more Animal Crossing City Folk. See you all then.